Good afternoon, everybody. This is episode number 33 of the Sports Consiglieres podcast. My name is Jim Whalen. Along with me is my partner, my friend, my pal, my consigliere, Jerry Calla. Jerry, how you doing today, sir?
Excellent, Jimmy. What's happening, buddy?
Listen, we had the playoff weekend this weekend. What was your take? Who do you think the winners are, and who do you think the losers are of the weekend?
Detroit's obviously a huge loser. Losing at home in the fashion that they did. I mean, Washington looked absolutely awesome. Now you lose at home. You're the number one seed, which is obviously highly disappointing. And then you pretty much lost both coordinators. I was shocked. The last thing I wanted to see as a Giant fan was a Washington-Philly. Now, Philly, of course, them being the 2 seed, Detroit out of the picture. Philly hosts the NFC Championship. Now you have Washington and Philly, and it's another reminder to Giant fans just how bad things are and how difficult things are going to be in the next quite a few years, having to deal with Jaden Daniels. And Brian Dable was right, boy. His assessment of him on Hard Knocks was spot on. The AFC, not a surprise. I think the whole country wants to see Buffalo and Kansas City again.
I was surprised, though, with Baltimore. I think Jackson did everything they can to win that game. I mean, the fumble and the 2-point conversion. I guess he was worried about going out of bounds, but he did everything they can. That was probably the best game of the weekend.
It was, and it always comes down to. I mean, listen, he's getting killed for the drop. It always comes down to, no game really comes down to one play. But again, I made this prediction a few weeks ago. I said that I thought Baltimore was going to advance and John Harbaugh would finally, get past that hiccup. And he usually has a hiccup in the playoffs. It's never really in the first round. It's usually, in this round, but the past round. And, I don't know. I mean, I thought, it's very disappointing for Baltimore. I mean, they're built, they're built to win in bad weather. I mean, they're physical, but again, it just always seems that just something goes wrong for them in the postseason. And they have a very, very talented, quarterback. And, you have to say to yourself, how much, longer can you squander these opportunities?
And also too, like Derrick Henry. I mean, I'm surprised that they didn't use him more. I would have just bad weather. I would just keep on feeding the ball, and then the other back. I mean, and then Jackson can run. So I'm just surprised they didn't do that. I know offensive coordinator got beaten up with that. And just getting back to Detroit, like we opened up the, Aaron Glenn to the Jets. That hire. I mean, that's I think it's a good fit. It's kind of weird that they didn't have a GM and they hired him without the GM. I thought that was a weird thing, but
it's I don't know Jets.
I don't know how Detroit can recover from this though. Losing the offensive coordinator, the defense coordinator, and then it's so hard to get there. I mean, you talk about Hard Knocks, the preparation getting there, and then you finally get there. You're the number one seed. The fan base is itching for a championship, and then I'll tell you, Jaden Daniels, boy. Being an NFC East, I mean, that was scary to watch. 2 games between him with Tampa Bay and with Detroit. He didn't make a mistake. And, he really is the real deal. So,
no question. And the positive, if you're a fan of a team like us with the Giants, the Raiders, so on in Tennessee, you get the right quarterback, and that will change or can change your whole franchise very, very quickly. And that's, like you hear the saying all the time, the league is a quarterback-driven league. That was the example over the weekend. I mean, you get the right guy, just like some people feel Detroit settled, right? Getting Goff. Goff is getting killed too. Can he take them to the, to the next level? But it goes to show you, with Washington, boy, you talk about a turnaround. No matter what happens, I think they have their work cut out for them. But hey, you never know. On the road in Philly, Philly is tough. Barkley is on another functioning on another cylinder. But hey, to get to the NFC Championship, new owner, new coach, new quarterback, it's a great story.
Yeah, I mean, well, and Dan Quinn, he had the game won
Yeah.
in the Super Bowl against New England, and then that game was won, and of course, Belichick being Belichick, they pulled it out. They had I think I don't know if it was Edelman or Amendola who had that catch, which was like, you could put a paper underneath the ball in the turf in that completion. But I mean, Atlanta had that game won, and they haven't been back there since.
Yeah.
So I think I can make the comparison with Detroit. I mean, are they going to be back? Are they going to be back there again? I mean, is it like Dan Campbell? We like what it was about. I think we both predicted them on the show that that they were going to make it to the Super Bowl at least. But I mean, that was a bad loss for Detroit in their own building, and that was a bad loss. And then they lose.
No question. And now, like you said, you lose both coordinators. Aaron Glenn is talking about it's interesting, right? You lose both coordinators, and now you have both coaches pretty much are looking to take a lot of people that they worked with at Detroit with them, to their new venues. So it might, listen, Philly, I was suspect this year with Philly. I know I was in the minority on this, but Philly made a ton of coaching changes coming into this season, and they made a new offensive coordinator, two changes: new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator with some other positional coaches, and it worked out for them. So yes, Detroit can bounce back, but you're looking at replacing two guys that have been in demand. Were in high demand this year, and they've been in demand, these last few years. But again, I think now they're stuck with Goff. I mean, a lot of people, the league is very fickle. I mean, you see with Sam Darnold, everybody was like, oh, well, these last two games with Sam Darnold, that's who he really is. The guy threw, over 30 touchdowns this year. You have to have, and that's why going into another direction, that's why Eli Manning should be a first ballot Hall of Famer, because he performed in big games. There's questions about, can Goff do that? So,
Well, yeah, when the light was brightest, he delivered, and also just the longevity. I mean, it really just took Bob McAdoo really to break his streak. I mean, longevity. He always suited up. But what do you think about the Philly Rams game? I'd say one thing about Stafford, he definitely still has something in the tank. I think that
I thought the Rams played well. I hate to say it, my prediction was, Detroit taking Philly down in the NFC Championship. That obviously is no longer the case. Philly goes to the Super Bowl. Me personally, I'd like to see Philly Buffalo switch it up. I know that's going to offend all the Swifties out there, but
Well, I mean, you think Buffalo can match up with KC?
I think the league got what they wanted. I think everybody wanted to see that matchup again. High-powered offenses. Two cold weather teams. It's going to be a battle. It's going to be a great weekend of football.
Well, eventually Buffalo's going to win one of these games, or Cincinnati's going to win one of these games. I mean, and if not, then Kansas City's got the chance to be the first three-peat ever. I mean, of course, we document that on this show that the Giants stopped Frisco way back when they were a three-peat, and so I mean they have the potential of being a three-peat. And if you look at it, if it wasn't for Tom Brady, they could be looking at 4 in a row. So that's
absolutely. But right now Kansas City is still the top dog, and as they say, the road goes through Kansas City, so to speak.
And I'll be rooting for the other dogs. I would like to see Buffalo. I'd like to see Washington. I don't know if Washington has got enough to beat Philly. I mean, listen, Saquon Barkley's with that line's on another level. He's not getting touched until the second layer of the defense. So only thing that might hold him back is that Jalen Hurts was a little bit banged up. So I mean, it depends. A lot of his game is in motion. Right. So and running, so how that's going to affect him. So So I mean, it'd be interesting.
That's a cowboy fan and a Giant fan's worst nightmare to see both
Absolutely. I would
those teams
never.
in the NFC Championship.
I would have never picked that. I mean, we thought that Sirianni was definitely on the canvas, that his job was in jeopardy, and like you mentioned earlier, offense coordinator, defense coordinator, weren't going to be there. How many times can you keep on turning over coaches? But they did. But I mean, I think having Saquon Barkley was the key, and also Jalen Carter. I mean, they drafted him out of Georgia. I mean, he's been big impact against the Rams on that game on the defensive side.
Absolutely. Now, here's my worst fear: if Barkley plays well, which there's a very high probability of that, they get to the Super Bowl and he delivers and he plays well, and they win the Super Bowl. Here's one I'm going to throw out at you. He will go down. I know it's only one season as the greatest Eagle of all time.
The greatest Eagle of all time on the offensive side. On defense, I think you have a lot. Offense. I mean,
throw it out there. I'm ready for this debate. I know it's 1 year. The guy basically would have broke. I mean, we could get into the argument that he would have had the extra game. But if he would have played in the last week, he would have probably broke Dickerson's record. He had over 2,000 yards. He delivers a Super Bowl. I mean, it's the Giant fans' worst nightmare of a story. He goes to a rival, has a career year. If they do beat Washington, and let's say they do beat Kansas City, as far as I'm concerned, he goes down as the greatest Eagle of all time. You want to tell me that, Reggie White, he didn't win the Super Bowl.
Brown.
They didn't. I mean, Bill Berge. I mean, those guys didn't win a Super Bowl. I mean, there's popular Eagles. Jaworski, Harold Carmichael.
Montgomery. You had
He's the greatest Eagle of all time.
Keith Byers. I mean, that if you really look at it, there's really no as a franchise. There really is no standout.
Who are you gonna mention next? Vice Sikahema?
Yeah, Vice Sikahema. Yeah.
Paul McFadden.
He was also on the Jets.
I'm telling you, Barkley's he goes down as the greatest Eagle.
Mike Quick, you have
Mike Quick.
Deshaun Jackson. He was a giant killer.
He was. You should have said Deshaun Jackson before Mike Quick.
So,
unless you were talking about Mike Quick from MSG High School Sports, but
yeah.
But anyway, it'll be an exciting week, and I think the NFL is happy, with the matchups. I mean, now you got Daniels, the whole divisional angle, they're playing each other for the third time, and I think they wanted Josh Allen, versus Mahomes. So we shall see. Along the lines, it's interesting, to see where a lot of these other teams fall with their coaching. Right now the Saints are still interviewing. I know they were hot on Aaron Glenn as well. He played there as well and coached there, but ultimately he wanted the Jets job and he got the Jets job. Like they say, be careful what you wish for. I mean, he's getting a lot of flowers from, a lot of his ex-teammates. Parcells has really talked him up, and the biggest hire that he will have to make will be his offensive coordinator. So that'll be, I think that's and like you said, it's just wacky though, because I was listening and reading today that he's going to be in the meetings, if you will, to a certain degree when they meet with GM candidates. I don't. It's just wacky, but it's the Jets.
The biggest X factor is Aaron Rodgers. What's going to happen there?
I'll be shocked. I'll be shocked if they don't move on.
Yeah, you think so? Did you watch a Netflix report?
No.
Yeah.
I'm all Aaron Rodgers out.
Yeah, that's talk about wacky. That's wacky.
Yeah, I know. I saw some clips, and it's just it's bizarre. I think what happens is you get Aaron Glenn. He knows the history. I know the fan base is mixed on the hiring. What I found interesting is that the search committee that Woody Johnson put together was focusing on a type of person Basically, not worried about, does he play a 3-4, 4-3? Does he blitz? Whatever the case may be. He's not real. They weren't really focused on scheme. They wanted a leader, somebody that could lead men, lead the room, command the room. And, according to a lot of people, that's what they're getting. And, this is the first time. Well, let me say this because I don't want to have the Jet fans come after me. Technically, this is the second time that a ex-Jets player became the head coach. Walt Michaels, as an assistant coach in the 60s, filled in for one game as a player, and then later on he became the head coach. So, but getting back to it, Aaron Glenn knows the history of the organization, the fan base, New York media, very successful career, was only 5'9".
Yeah, and a popular Jet, but
very popular Jet, very popular. Keyshawn Johnson has been going since the news broke. He's been going on and on saying Aaron Glenn is the greatest teammate he ever had. So, we'll see. Big hire, who his offensive coordinator is. A few names are thrown out there. You have Clint Kubiak is one. Mark Brunell, who was the quarterback's coach at Detroit. But again, does he wind up going to the Bears? So there's some interesting scenarios how they play out.
I was just surprised that they hired him without a GM, but I mean, and then
it's the Jets, they got to keep you on your toes.
What do you think about them hiring? Because there was a comparison with him with the Jets and with Todd Bowles. First time coach and Todd Bowles. I thought Todd Bowles did a good job. He ended up getting fired. Now he's with Tampa Bay having success there. So there was some criticism about Aaron Glenn and the Jets, and not so much on Aaron Glenn, but with the Jets, that hiring a first-time coach, not getting somebody who's established, somebody who somebody who is Aaron Glenn's a name. So I mean, just somebody that was that coached before. So
the problem I have with that, right, is if they would have hired Ben Johnson, and Ben Johnson declined to interview with the Jets, there's not a soul in the media or the Jet fan base that would have said, oh, this stinks. This guy was never a head coach. They would have been going insane gaga. So to me, yes, in this market, right, correct me if I'm wrong, Vrabel got hired, right, second go around. There's a trend. The trend right now is
that's a safety too. You're talking about safety.
That's a safety. But again, Vrabel didn't get hired. If Vrabel didn't coach the Titans, he would have probably still got the Patriot job. The Patriots wanted Vrabel because he's basically familiar with the history, right, of being successful as a New England Patriot. Now, again, Jared Mayo, I think he got really shafted.
He got railroaded. He definitely got railroaded. So.
But getting back to your question, not to get totally off topic, the whole thing about him not being a coach, right? There's two ways to go, right? You hire somebody who either was a head coach, right? B, you hire the hot coordinator, which has been going on, right, since Moses wore short pants, right, as they say, right? Or C, right, you roll the dice and you bring in somebody from college. So the question is, you weren't going to bring Pete Carroll in at his age, although, there's some whispers that he might resurface with the Raiders, which I don't believe. But who, outside of Vrabel, right, everybody else is going to be somebody from, is going to be a coordinator.
Yeah, it's going to be somebody new. I mean, I like the Johnson hire. I think you said it best on this show a couple months ago. They got a quarterback. So
he was going there.
I mean, he's inside the division. I'm sure Detroit fans aren't happy about it, but I like the Aaron Glenn hire. To be honest with you, I liked him as a player. I mean, he was a good locker room guy. He was a good leader.
Yeah,
I think seeing them on Hard Knocks as a defensive coordinator, I like his style. And listen, I'm a Giant fan at first, but I always root for the Jets.
The only caveat and I agree with you, I like to hire. The only caveat is the GM. It's screwy because now, what happens if Woody Johnson really likes somebody that doesn't really like Aaron Glenn? That's
Yeah, then you're talking a fractured
Recipe for
relationship.
disaster. So
Yeah,
one thing you'll say is Joe Douglas and like Salah, they were on the same page. It didn't work out, but you don't want that. The Jets right now need stability. They need to change the culture. You don't need, now, and from all intents purposes, Aaron Glenn knows that he's not running the football operations. That the GM is coming in. It's a little unique after him, but I would like to think that they're going to get somebody that has a relationship with him or had a relationship with him, prior. That would only make sense, but. Again, we are talking about the Jets. So that's the only caveat I have with that.
all right. And what do you think the most attractive job left that's out there? You think the Raiders with Brady? Think that's an attractive job? And then what about Dallas? I know our producer's ready to, if Schottenheimer goes there, he's ready to. Ready to.
And that's picking up steam. Dallas, we need like a whole show on Dallas because I don't know what Dallas is doing. You're talking about, moving on from McCarthy, and you come up with Brian Schottenheimer. His play calling everywhere he's been, there's been a cloud, if you will, and I don't understand anything Dallas is doing. Now, again, I love that as a Giant fan, but it makes, from a football fan, I don't know what they're doing. I really don't. And from what you read, I mean, as of today, they were saying that's more than heating up. That's going to be finalized very, very soon. So we shall see. The Raiders. I always say this about a job like the Raiders, like the Giants, like no matter how bad things are, there's a lot of history there. Those jobs will always be attractive. Where Brady goes from here, what they do from here, I don't know. I mean, I think they really thought they were going to get Johnson. But like we talked about in a prior show, I think Johnson and Williams, Johnson wanted to coach based on the jobs out there. Johnson was going to Chicago to coach Williams.
And plus, they got weapons too there,
and they have weapons around them. Yes.
Yeah. So I mean,
there's things to
It's a good fit, and I saw that Jacksonville fired their GM.
Jacksonville. So Tony Khan, who is the owner of Jacksonville, I think you need to stay far as away from that job as you can, because that's just the definition of dysfunction.
Yeah.
So the offensive coordinator from Tampa Bay pulled his name out. Yes.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't happy after interviewing with the GM. So then Tony Khan, from what I understand, he went on to fire the GM. So now you just have another level of dysfunction. And to me, I know you got Trevor Lawrence down there, but you still have Tony Khan, which I think he would probably rank toward the bottom of most desirable owners to want to work for in all of professional sports.
But also, too, they play a lot overseas, too, because, Tony Khan, I mean, the Khan family is big in
everywhere.
Promoting the job over and promoting the football over in England and then Europe. So if you're a player there, you're going to Europe at least once every other year. So.
And you got New Orleans out there. They interviewed Mike Kafka from the Giants for the second time. So, they kind of pivoted, I think, when they realized that, supposedly they wanted Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn made it known that he wanted the Jets job, so they kind of pivoted. But, before we know it, we'll be fully engulfed in draft, the NFL draft, free agency, and
what do you think the best name out there is? If you were an owner, who would you want to grab that's out there?
That's still
available.
Would I be causing controversy if I threw out John Gruden?
I guess so. I mean, he's still named. He's on Barstool Sports. That some Jet fans wanted to see him with the Jets.
That would have been a good fit for Dallas.
Yeah, but I don't.
That would have been must-see TV. Him, Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones.
Well, I guess you like dysfunction in Dallas, but as moving on to this weekend, you got Buffalo and Philly. Who do you think brings it home if that follows through?
My prediction for the Super Bowl?
Yeah, Super Bowl. If your two teams that you picked this weekend move on to the Super Bowl, who do you like out of those two teams?
It kills me to say it, Philly.
Philly. I mean, to me, that's a story in itself.
Yes.
I mean, that's a story in itself.
John Mara won't be able to sleep for 5 years.
Yeah. Knowing that he gifted his biggest rival
gifted it. Joe Shane. I hear Philly. Quote, I hear Philly is out.
Yep.
No intent. We've talked about this and talked about this and talked about this, right? I'm ready to put my foot through the monitor here. He knew, okay? He knew he wasn't gonna sign Barkley. Should have moved him at the deadline. Just like this year, right? Oh, he didn't like the market for Slayton and Ojulari. Ojulari had 3 sacks. I was saying to everybody, move him now before he gets hurt. What happens? He gets hurt. Who gives a crap if you would have got a 5th rounder, whatever the market is? These guys are walking. They're walking for nothing. I don't understand this. You were going nowhere. They're not going to sign Slayton, right? And Slayton's going to go somewhere, and he's going to be a very good complementary receiver, right? Ojulari's going to be signed because people, he has the athleticism. The guy can't stay on it. The bottom line is that whatever you got back, you were getting back something. I don't understand that. I do not understand that.
Yeah.
Same thing. This has been tried in any sport. The NBA, hey, listen, it's his walk year. We'll get a bag of balls from. Oh my God, I can't believe they traded so and so for that. They weren't going to sign him, or they knew they couldn't sign him. Better to get something than nothing.
Yeah,
I don't understand that mentality. I really don't. And I'll be honest with you, I was shocked that they both came back and John Mara could. I think he made that. I know people have moved on since that, and like today's post, the Jets are dominating the headlines as they should with their new coaching hire. But the way they brought them back, he released a statement. I'm not happy. I don't like the defensive coordinator. I don't like the defense. I don't like this. Then he creates all the speculation. Oh, what do they have to do next year? They have to be. Listen, they're not making the playoffs next year. You just hope that they're competitive, right? And there is progression. There's development. You see progress. But he makes it seem like, oh, well, next year I might not be so paid. Well, what does that mean if they win 6 games next year, right? And I don't know I don't want to get into this now because there's more to talk about. Yeah. Look at the next episode. Look at their schedule, right? Yeah. What 6 games are they winning? Are they going to win a game in the division?
Are they going to beat Philly twice? Or going to beat Washington twice? I don't
Look at their division, and their quote unquote easier games are on the road. They play Kansas City. I don't even want to get into this. I looked at the schedule once, and then I looked at it twice, and then I looked at it the third time. And the third time, I was hoping that it was going to change. That's how tough.
You're hoping that you're looking at it at a different,
right?
A different way. But did you watch the national championship game?
I did a little bit. Yeah.
I was good. What I expected.
Half, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, Marcus Freeman is a legit coach.
Yeah, he did a great job.
But I think the smart money was on Ohio State.
Yeah, absolutely. And the whole talk about Notre Dame, being an Indy, they're never going to go to a conference for football. That's just my opinion. I think they like the flexibility, especially now they have the program back, to where it was.
And plus tradition too. I mean, they still play some of these traditions.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
But
what else you got?
I'm saying, going for my prediction, I'm going to go to complete opposite where you are. I think it's going to be KC and Washington, and I think KC repeats. So we'll see. I mean,
you want to put a wager on?
What do you want to wager?
I like to get that shirt that you're wearing.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it going to fit you? I don't know. I run big.
Well, you're a little short.
Yeah, that's right. Vertically challenged, not short. It's vertically challenged. So.
I didn't say. Hold on. I said you were a little shorter than me. I didn't say you were short.
Okay,
that's a fact. You are shorter than me.
Yeah, you're going in and out. So. No.
Speaking of that, I was actually having an exchange with
I'm losing you, Jerry.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I lost you there for a bit, so I got now I can hear you.
Co-workers told me that you are known as the King of Elizabeth.
Who did?
That's what Alex Monagas was telling me. He's a big follower of the show.
Yeah.
He said you're the King of Elizabeth.
Yeah.
I was talking to him and just wanted to shout out his son Alejandro, who's at St. Joe's Metuchen as a freshman. 11 goals, 3 assists.
He's playing for Ryan Carter. Yeah, they were ranked. He having a good.
Yeah.
It was 11 as a freshman, 11 goals, and they were
11 goals, 3 assists as to date, and then his daughter Melanie
just committed to.
Soccer. She just committed to Catholic University.
Catholic University.
So the question I have for you. It has to be his wife. They don't take after his brother.
You're in and out. So his brother was Dave said your internet's kicking, but you still there?
I'm here.
Yeah, but his brother was surprised that his daughter, Alex's daughter, didn't go to Montclair State because I think his wife teaches there.
She does, yes, yes.
So, but
we got to give it. We gave it a shout out to the Monagas kids.
Yeah, and Monagas
guys, keep up, Alejandro. Keep up the good work, and same for you, Melanie. Good luck next year at Catholic U.
And they're both standout players at Elizabeth High School for one legendary coach, Ray Korn. So
very nice.
With that, I think we'll close this episode out. This is episode number 33 of the Sports Consiglieres podcast. We still got guests coming up relatively soon. Football theme coming up. We're gonna have an author coming up on next show if everything goes well. But I think we got more football. We're going to pivot to basketball, get some basketball guests on. Follow us on social media. We're back on TikTok after the federal ban. Instagram, I like to put a lot of things out. We're on Facebook and also Patreon. If you like the show, you can support the show. You can contact us with any questions or concern. But this is going to be Jimmy and Jerry, episode number 33. Out. Have a good day.